The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the Son of Man. They were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage up to the day that Noah entered the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Similarly, as it was in the days of Lot, they were eating, drinking, buying, selling, planting, building. On the day when Lot left Sodom, fire and brimstone rained from the sky to destroy them all. So it will be on the day the Son of Man is revealed. On that day, someone who is on the housetop and whose belongings are in the house must not go down to get them, and likewise one in the field must not return to what was left behind. Remember the wife of Lot. Whoever seeks to preserve his life will lose it, but whoever loses it will save it. I tell you, on that night there will be two people in one bed. One will be taken, the other left. And there will be two women grinding meal together. One will be taken, the other left." They said to him in reply, "Where, Lord?" He said to them, "Where the body is, there also the vultures will gather." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This gospel passage is so difficult that I forgot to sing the close of it. It's like it was wrapped up in just how challenging this passage is. And we are not strangers to difficult gospel passages. Most of the very challenging gospel passages that the church gives us are proclaimed on Fridays. So here we are. It's a great little gospel passage. We just have to dig in a little bit in order to see what Jesus wants to give us. He's talking about he's using very apocalyptic language to talk about a clash of worlds that is coming. So a time where decisions have to be made quickly, and they have to be made with the right mind, with your right priorities, and all the rest. He said this time is drawing to a head now, and we need to be prepared for it. The day that Jesus was talking about is the day the Son of Man is vindicated. He's talking about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. He's talking about the destruction of Israel. And he's saying there, when you see basically your whole world coming to an end, save your life. Don't think that you have, a particular allegiance to your land at that time. Your allegiance, rather, is to me and my way, and you ought to preserve your life in order to live it. So it's a very strange, there's much more to be said there, but it's a strange gospel passage, but it brings out those points for us. Is when we find ourselves in time of crisis, do we know what comes first? Do we know what our priorities are, or do we not? When we find ourselves with the simple challenges of day-to-day living, do we know what our priorities are? Do we know what we can leave behind? And do we know what we will pursue with everything we've got? This is why I think it's great for us to have the focus of Miguel making his first Holy Communion today, because it reminds us that Jesus has to be first and foremost in our hearts and lives. Has to be. And this is what we do when we come to dedicate ourselves to God and to His service every time we celebrate the Mass, and certainly when we receive Holy Communion. But even as we gather here to offer our hearts and our lives to God in prayer, we recognize that what we're doing is saying, Lord, you are first. And we can look at Jesus on the cross and say, you are first. And your way is my priority. Even though we know, as we look on Jesus on the cross, that His way is the way of self-giving love. We have to give ourselves. right? Our lives are made to be these great forums in which we give ourselves away. More and more, we give ourselves away. We look at Jesus on the cross, he's giving everything. He's giving everything in praise of his Father. He's giving everything in service of the world God loves. That has to be us too. Because this is the sign and symbol of the Eucharist as well, Jesus on the cross. And when we receive his life, we know that we are given the strength that we need to give ourselves away. We are given the strength we need to prioritize him and his way in all things. And that means that every opportunity we have in our day, crisis, confrontation, conflict, distress, we know that we are going to go his way. We are going to choose to live for the cause of love, no matter what it is comes along. And here and now, as we prepare our hearts and our minds to receive Jesus in the most blessed sacrament, to receive the blessing of his presence, we commit ourselves again to live in his service, that the Eucharist might be most fruitful in us, that it might achieve its appropriate fruit, which is to have our lives flourish in lives of self-giving love.